You ready?
Do I need to wrap this?
Yep.
Evening, everyone. Go ahead, Sherry.
Council workshop meeting, Monday, October 3rd, 2022, 6 p.m. Bear?
Here.
Briggs?
Here.
Coulter?
Here.
Heidrich? Holtmeyer?
Here.
Patke?
Here.
Reed?
Yep.
Wessels. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the committee members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the meeting dated September 6, 2022? Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patke?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
I just need a motion.
Okay, we need a motion.
Second.
Motion by Holtmeyer, second by Patke. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, by your approval, the minutes are approved.
Report of department heads, administration department, library HVAC presentation.
So I'd like to go ahead and start off before we've got representatives from Verigy here tonight. We did, as you know, we've had some issues with the library's HVAC for quite some time. You'll see the numbers that Ellie's put in the presentation with regards to maintenance repairs and what we spent over the last 5 years, I think, is what you see in the presentation. So with that, we formed a committee and then went out for RFQs for design consultants back in March of this year. And then we decided, the committee voted. We had two qualification statements, basically. One was from Verigy and another one was from Horn Architects in town. The committee reviewed, decided to go ahead and move forward with Verigy. And it took us a while to get to this point, but we're here. And so with that, I'd like to go ahead and let Ellie go ahead and do a presentation for you. She can hopefully answer any questions that you may have, but letting you know that we've gone through a lengthy process just to get to this point right now. So go ahead, Ellie.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Ellie Blankenship with Verigy, and I also have Jordan Craig. He's the engineer that designed this project, so he's here if you have any kind of more technical questions, but I'll kind of try to go over sort of an overarching explanation of kind of what we're trying to do and the goals of the project. Just so you know, we are Verigy, but we are formerly CTS Group. We have worked with the city for some time. We did a project with the city back in 2016 on the City Hall here. We did the HVAC in the windows and lots of lighting throughout the rest of LED lighting throughout the rest of your facilities. So we have a long-standing relationship with the city as well. So we've just changed names and merged with a bunch of other companies. So now we're Verigy. Go ahead, Jordan. So similar to what we did with the City Hall project, we utilize legislation in the state, which is Missouri Statute 8.231, and it's an alternative procurement method for capital improvement projects. The main concept behind it is an energy services company like ourselves. We actually guarantee the savings. And then the savings are energy and operational savings. So you have energy savings, so what you're spending to utility, and then operations and maintenance savings, as Darren already alluded to, which are significant with the library. You can redirect those savings to help fund the improvements. In this particular instance, they don't fund it completely, but they definitely help take a big chunk out. And then we also apply for any rebates and grants that are available on behalf of the project on your behalf. It's a guaranteed maximum price. There's no change orders, and we'll have a project manager on site managing the whole project. We'll manage all the subcontractors. We have it all bid out, and we're ready for construction upon project approval. So where we are now is, as Darren mentioned, we've gone through a pretty extensive process. We've already designed the whole project. We've gone out for multiple competitive proposal bids from subcontractors, and now we're ready for project approval and to implement the project. Once that's approved, then we'll move forward with, like as we mentioned, having that dedicated on-site project manager, which we think is very critical, you know, especially even with the City Hall project. When the occupied building, we're not going to be shutting down the library. You know, there'll be specific areas, you know, where we'll have to kind of block off when we are in certain areas, but we're not going to be closing down the library at any time. The public will still have access to the library throughout this whole project. And a big part of that is, we think, having that project manager on site managing everyone. And then the ongoing measurement and verification to ensure that we saved you what we said we were gonna save you. Okay. So as Darren mentioned, you know, you've had some significant issues with the Daikin system really since it was installed. And we really did, you know, back in 2016 when we first met the city, and we made some tweaks to the system, and you'll see kind of in 2017, you know, that number went down a little bit. We were able to kind of get a new service contractor in there that was really kind of familiar with Daikin and had a little bit more knowledge of these types of systems and was kind of able to help improve things. But, you know, as the system continues to get older, the maintenance costs just continue to escalate. I mean, you're up to, it cut off for the bottom total, but it's over $200,000, $240,000 in the last 5 years in maintenance on this system. And really, it's just going to continue to get worse as it continues to get older. So we really looked at it from a standpoint of, rather than trying to go back with a similar type of system, it'd be better just to eliminate this system altogether, to eliminate a VRF. And this is what this is. It's a variable refrigerant flow system. It's a VRF system, and the design and installation are very critical. And if they're not done right, it's a big issue. And that's, I think, one of the big problems that you've had. And then and there's so many compressors, and there's so many things that can go wrong. You have very difficulty even being able to do much with the controls yourself in-house. You always have to call somebody if something happens. So you don't really have very much kind of internal control over what's going on with the unit. So basically, our recommendation is to eliminate the existing system in its entirety, with the exception of, there's a neutral air unit that basically is brought to bring in outside air, and that's just really a big air handler we're gonna keep and use for redundancy. So that's gonna stay, but everything else is gonna be eliminated. So our recommendation is to install a new variable air volume system, which is more similar to what you have here. It's a more simplified system. It'll include 1 multi-zone and 2 single-zone variable air volume captive air rooftop units on the roof of the library. And that does include all necessary structural support, which will have to be added. The good thing about these rooftop units they are 25-year life units, so they're built really well. They also have 10-year warranties on a majority of the equipment. I mean, I think we're going from, four units, probably like 16 compressors in the units now versus, they're gonna be like three compressors. So you think about, you know, the cost of maintenance ongoing from going from that many compressors with what you have now just down to 3. And then now they'll also have that 10-year warranty, which this system didn't even last 10 years. We'll also be we're gonna switch the building to gas. It's just right across the street, and Spire is including that at no charge. It'll be a new 94% efficient gas boiler with 18 VAV boxes with reheat and hot water piping. So it's a more efficient system, a lot more control. And that's basically the upstairs is gonna where it's open, kind of be on one big zone, and then the individual areas where you need individual control. So that's gonna require a lot of removal, a lot of sealing, and a lot of, so we're basically having to go back through, whereas the VRF system is all refrigerant piping throughout the facility, we're gonna have to go back in with ductwork. So it's a pretty significant construction process. It's gonna require a lot, we're having to remove all the ceilings and put them back. So it's a pretty extensive process there. We're also going to include a new control system that will include control and monitoring of the new HVAC system. And then the neutral air unit, what we're doing there is you're adding a hot water coil in that too. So that'll basically be providing redundancy too. And that's another good thing about this system. You know, if you have one of those units go down, you know, you're still going to have a big majority of the building that's still going to be serviced by, you know, heating or cooling, whichever is needed at that time. And then we're also the good thing about the Orchestrate system is that we can link it to all the, any buildings that are even on, like for the example here, which is on a train system, it can still be linked to that so that your service can all go to one location to get all their controls. And they'll have a lot more. And, you know, we'll include training on the system. We also include remote system support on the system. So if they have any issues, they can give us a call. We can get online, work through it with them, see what's going on. That's, I think, a 2-year included. Then there's also some issues. We brought some infrared cameras in because they had some condensation in the atrium. And we identified that there's some air sealing and insulation that's necessary in the atrium. And then from a maintenance standpoint, we really recommend, you know, because we're adding those units on the roof, be able to get up there and change filters and all that is to include a roof hatch as well as part of this project.
Interior or exterior roof hatch?
It'll be an interior roof hatch, yeah. So the benefits of this system, you know, reduced energy costs, reduced maintenance costs, obviously, as we mentioned, longer life equipment, improved comfort, redundancy, you know, better controls, and, you know, and more like self-control, I guess, and a simplified system that's easier to service. You know, you're gonna have a lot more flexibility as far as who you want to bring in. You know, right now you're very limited because of the way that Daikin system is. There's only certain companies that can even work on those types of systems, where these types of systems are it's a rooftop unit. It's pretty simple. You can have, you know, you'll have a lot more flexibility of who you can service the equipment. So the total project costs are a little over $1 million. Our estimated rebates are about $13,000. There could be some potential, some more rebates, but it also depends on what happens in like 2022. We don't ever know what they're going to change the program to, but we'll maximize that as much as we possibly can. We'll apply for those on your behalf. Energy savings a little over $2,000. First year operations and maintenance, about $26,000. And I think that's probably conservative, just based on what we've been seeing over the last couple of years, but we tend to try to be conservative. We are conservative on the energy savings as well. Just we'd rather you get more than what we anticipated. And then the other number is what I call annual avoided future capital costs, is because really, if you think about it, like this is money that you have to put in no matter what. You know, you're gonna have to do this regardless, and that's part of the legislation. You know, this project doesn't necessarily pay for itself strictly with energy and operational savings, but it's definitely something that makes sense, you know, financially, and it's a good long-term thing that you're not gonna have to look at doing something for, you know, 25 plus years now instead of, what is it, 12?
3,000.
Yeah. And just I know, like, you're somewhat familiar with us, but just so you know, we've done, as I mentioned, worked with you all, and then we've done a lot of other metro area cities, and which included like Richmond Heights had a library, and then also we've done St. Louis Public Library and Lexington Public Library as well. So, and then again, all these buildings were when there was people in there and they were occupied, and we had a lot of experience with those types of projects. And they all included HVAC. And then lastly, just quick reminder about us now. You know, again, we are CTS, but now we are Verigy, but our headquarters still remain in St. Louis for Verigy Midwest. And we've developed over $800 million. We do have a local government team, so we have actually, you know, previous city managers and Parks and Recs directors that have really big knowledge. And the other big thing is that we're vendor and equipment neutral, so we don't represent any particular type of equipment or system. So we recommend what we think is the best for your particular application, and that's why we think these units are going to be a really good fit for you guys here. that's all I had, and like I said, I have Jordan here if there's any more technical questions that I can't answer, but.
I don't know about technical, but who are your preferred subcontractors or installers?
Well, we bid it out to 5 HVAC contractors, and it was, and actually Merit Mechanical was the low bid.
Who?
Merit Mechanical, and we bid it out to, I think, 2 or 3. We invited multiple electrical contractors. I think we actually got bids from 2, and Tri-County Electric is our the low electrical at this point.
And you used them before?
Yeah, we use them a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And Merit?
We have not worked with Merit yet, but we vetted their bid very closely, and we're very comfortable with what they're able to provide.
So are these bids out now to these contractors?
They were.
We already
were.
got, yeah,
were.
we're ready to go. Yeah.
They've already done that.
Yep.
Okay.
They're ready to start.
Yep, we're ready to start. Yeah, I guess ultimately the goal would be, upon contract approval, and we get the submittals going. The lead time, that was one of the other challenges, I'm sure, as you guys have seen over the last year or so, is part of what was, selecting equipment that we could get in a timely manner. And so that was the other good thing about these captive air units, is that they're an 8 to 12 week lead time. So we could we're hopefully have those on site, by like by February. We would get started on some of the other work, prior to those units arriving. But yeah, we're ready to go as soon as we are approved.
And just so the rest of the council knows, we put together a committee not only to look at the consultants, but then we were, when we chose to go with Verigy, to start discussions with them, we had representatives from, I think it was Wayne, Chad, we had Nelson and Diane Lick from the library board, and then we also asked council members. Joe Holtmeyer had some experience with it down at Borgia, and then we also asked Mike in at the end as well too, to go ahead and sit in on the discussion of the units. So try to get as much input as we possibly could for everybody, considering the circumstances. I wish I could sit there and tell you that system is ready to, the one that was over there would last another 5 to 6 years at least, but unfortunately that's not the cards that were dealt with at this time, and so we can't see continuing to go ahead and pay those maintenance costs without trying to tackle this thing.
Yeah, and I will say too, part of the delay with us was that, we did do an initial design and bid, and they came in higher than what we were hoping, and so we actually went back, to the drawing board and went out for additional, redid some of the plans and went out for additional bids to kind of keep, get the cost down even more for you guys. So that's one of the reasons why we've been, working on this for so long, is we're just trying to get the best project at the best price for you, so.
One last thing, I just asked Ellie and Jordan to go ahead and present this to you tonight so that you could have any discussion with it tonight. There's no ordinance on your packet for later. We will move forward with that on the 17th if we get a consensus from the council to move forward.
We've been dealing with this Daikin program for so long, so many heartbreaks. I think it was a headache for Wayne today. He walked in the door here, I think. So we've heard about this a lot. So, it's a lot of money, but it's definitely what we need to do at this point, so.
Other comments, guys?
Okay. Thank you, Ellie.
Thank you for your time.
We'll, then, as I said, we'll go ahead and put an ordinance in front of you on October the 17th at that meeting. Okay?
Just discussion, you want to accept it in the minutes?
You just, yeah, if you want to go ahead and, it's just discussion. You don't
Okay.
need to do anything.
ARPA presentation.
Not really a presentation, but just kind of give you some numbers. Obviously, it's with good timing with the library project that we just discussed or whatever. I've given you a little spreadsheet that shows our budget. The stuff in red is the stuff that we've either allocated and or already purchased. But if you see the top, the city received 2.8 million and change. To go ahead and review. Just for the newer council members, a reminder, When the funds were first made available, we were told that they had to fall in 4 to 5 categories. Then the Treasury Department came back out and said, nope, for the up to the first 10 million, you can pretty much spend it on what you want. There were some limitations, but so we kind of backtracked with regards to what our original proposal was that we presented to the council at that time. But a couple of these projects have always been in here, and I guess what we're looking at doing is what you have. I just wanted to bring you up to speed. So we have purchased the fuel truck over at the airport. If anybody hasn't seen that, it looks like a mirror over there practically when you stand next to it. So anyway, we also did a small project with the fairground parking lot. We did some preliminary design on the South Point Sewer project that we wanted to get moved forward. We needed to go ahead and have that completed. The rest of that's been allocated that you see later on down in construction, but that can always change. And then we had the pay adjustments for the employees at $192,000. So remaining projects that you see on there, the library HVAC, we were going to propose to spend $600,000. That would help to go ahead and fund the contract that you've got that we'd like to present to you in a couple of weeks. There's other funds that we're going to use to go ahead and do that. I think the library's got their, what's the fund that they've got? The development fund is what it's called. $200,000, and then we'd also go back to the capital improvement sales tax for the remainder of that. The water tank, this is a project that we've submitted. John's staff and Public Works have submitted applications to DNR and to the County Commission, both for this project. I believe at DNR we may hear some word back from them on those grants later this month. And so, but with that, we are still, we have to commit to at least $900,000 out of that towards that water tank. And you also have capital improvement sales tax that's also going to pay for that. We're hopeful that we can at least get some grant funds either through DNR or even through the county possibly. Oldenburg Industrial Park, those are utilities. I did put in $370,000. This is a moving target because there are so many different programs. We do have the possibility of an industry that's going to be looking. They're going to be, when they make a decision, they're going to be ready to go pretty quickly. We have indicated that we would provide the utilities to go ahead, but obviously that may take some participation with them if there's state programs that we could go ahead and utilize, like community development block grant, et cetera. So that number is kind of a moving target, but we want to set that aside because we certainly want to go ahead and be able to put those utilities in for that industry and open up the park. South Point construction, sewer construction, excuse me, that ties back to that preliminary design number. We do have, again, an application before DNR for this, as well as the county. In our request to the county, we basically told them that if we were successful at receiving DNR funding, then we would withdraw our request from the county. However, we would also, if we fall short of what we asked for from DNR, we'd ask for them to go ahead and assist us with the balance. So we've got an application with them. The freight depot renovations, you guys have approved that contract. That work has already started. What we would like to do, what we would propose to do is after discussing this with Sal and Mary, we can go ahead and utilize your TIF funds to go ahead and fund that remaining I think it was $146,000. So that could go back into the ARPA funds. And so it would take a budget amendment, and we can go ahead and submit that. I think Mary was going to propose a budget amendment that she usually does at the end of the fiscal year, about a month from now. But if you will, that's part of that. What we would do is use those TIF funds to offset that balance on that contract and then put these funds right back into ARPA. That would leave us back with about $340,790. There's a couple of projects yet that I know that Sal has been working with DD very closely to try to go ahead and there's a community revitalization grant. There's a couple of other grants that are possibly out there that we could apply for. That's a little bit harder because some of that, we're relying upon private parties to go ahead and also participate with us, so we don't know if we're going to use those funds. Also, just in a smaller project, the Chamber and Downtown Washington have looked at possibly putting some type of sign that would come across the bridge for the remaining parcel that we've received from MoDOT. There where where Alberici had their trailer, it would be like a welcome one. It would also have changeable copy, obviously, that you could change for different events that's coming in Washington. So it'd be to greet those residents. But the point is, we're gonna pretty much go through this money. I mean, and I just wanted to go ahead and give you, those are just the projects that we've identified. We've always looked at this money as what is the best way to reinvest this back in the community and get a return back on our investment. That's the way we've always tried to treat that. So hopefully, you know, like I said, it's not my, the best, or you know, with the library, that was just something we're gonna have to go ahead and deal with. But all the other projects, we feel that you're really getting a return back on your investment, so. Any questions? I just wanted to bring you up to date on what staff has been working on to try to go ahead and best utilize those funds.
Darren, I appreciate the list, and I think this is good information, and it's kind of like the last meeting when I asked about the half-cent capital improvements. Just something similar to this, that we know, and an update, where we stand, where we're at.
We can do that. Mary's given me some numbers, but what I told her was based on our agenda tonight, we could probably come back to you and go ahead and reflect and show you where we're at with the capital
Right,
improvement
I think
system.
Mary has a worksheet for us. If we,
Yeah,
need- if we
at the-
if we have
at the
time for that,
next-
we can get that.
Yeah, if we have, we can. Otherwise, we can do it at the next workshop. So,
Other questions or comments, please? Jerry?
Engineering Department, Airport Hangar Design and Construction Inspection.
Okay, good evening, council. This report and the next report are on the same project. This is in regards to our airport hangars we're trying to get constructed over at the Washington Regional Airport. If you recall, we received bids for that. The bids came in higher than what was initially anticipated, which I think is at no surprise to anyone. However, we did get direction from you all to move forward with constructing 8 hangars over there. This first agenda item, which will be on your city council agenda, will be to approve the inspection contract with CMT. They are our airport consultant. I think for remaining 3 years, we have them for. But so that there was also a supplemental design as part of that due to modifications with the FAA guidelines and some additional work they had to put into that, since that design did go on for quite some time. But that would have a supplemental of $95,865. So that'll be one agenda item. In addition, since we are talking essentially about the same thing, the 8 hangars over there have a low bid with KJ Understall for $1,772,970. To give you some feel for that, in 2010, I believe, we built the last hangars, 8 hangars, for around $980,000. So it just gives you some feeling on what some of these things are costing right now. This project is slated 220 calendar days. It's got a pretty big lead time on the building itself. But the good news is, I do have some good news here. The total project, we received some additional money from the State Aviation Trust Fund. What that is that's dollars that was allocated to us from the closure of the St. Clair Airport. So that dollar number is approximately, and it does move a little bit, but approximately $553,795. The FAA Airport Entitlement Funding, these are dollars that we get every single year. It's got a cap on it typically, but we get about $150,000 a year. $562,000, so that's money we get from the feds. And then the build grant, the infrastructure bill that was put out by the federal administration, has got $512,800. So long story short, the remaining portion is $143,000 of your capital improvement sales tax. So of this project, the city's paying about 8.1%. That's a pretty good deal. Going into this, when we put this thing together a couple years ago, we were looking at capital improvement sales tax funding about $500,000 of it. So of that $500,000, you're only paying $143 approximately to get this thing done, which is pretty phenomenal if you ask me. So should be some happy days over there, happy pilots when this thing gets opened up. What we'll be working on after this, once it gets going, is maybe a new mechanism on how to bid out potentially hangars. Right now, it's kind of a first come, first serve. There's a list that kind of fluctuates, I guess, but we're discussing the rental, the monthly rental fees. That list right now is about 30 to 35 people on it. We don't have that amount of capacity. Supply and demand says that maybe you're a little cheap, So we have a grant fiscal responsibility to do the best we can to ensure that the federal money getting pumped into it has a return on its investment. So we'll be looking at that, coming forth with some options maybe over there.
I'd like to add that with John, with the savings that we got with the build funding, the infrastructure bill, as he said, you know, we were going to propose to go ahead and have $500,000, you know, towards our match for this at one point. As we've reported to you before, though, we have an opportunity. There's some federal legislation that would allow us to go ahead and expand the airport, widen it, improve it for that runway, and we're still pursuing that. Obviously, we want to go ahead and see. So that savings that we have from this would roll right back into that of what we could go ahead if we need to go ahead and match that from a local level, whatever that federal legislation comes back. So that is the hangars were always goal number one, you know, waiting for the market. Second one, as soon as we found out that there was federal legislation that could help us go ahead and expand our airport or the runway, that was 2. Third is whatever else is on the layout plan, which could be
Additional
you know,
hangars.
additional hangars or purchasing additional property, whatever the case may be.
Correct.
Well, from a long time ago, when it was 500,000 and we thought it was going to be even more because the prices were going to go up, 143 is a phenomenal number, John. There's no doubt about that. So that's great. We settled with 8 hangars with this project. If, correct me if I'm wrong, these dollars are stayed the same no matter what. If we do an 8, 10, or a 12, it's not a percentage of what they're paying.
Fact.
So
So if you wanted to add 2 additional hangars to go to 10 from the 8, which you have a bid for that, right?
Right.
You're paying 100% out of your pocket.
okay, I just want to make sure none of these numbers were percentage numbers. These are actually dollar figures.
Those are the hard numbers.
that job.
That's what you're
Okay.
getting to offset these costs. So if you recall, the last discussion we had when we made the decision to go to 8 was we had this runway extension opportunity that really, I think that number was 6.8 million. And I think 3 million is what we were looking at from the feds on that. So how are you going to come up with the extra 3.8?
Right.
And the idea was there to hold on to as much of our cash as we could so we could pivot and utilize it should that become a reality. That's the strategy. Now, we are still going to be short, so I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, but we'll, transportation sales tax potentially. There might be some additional build. I know that money keeps trickling out of the federal government constantly, so you never know.
You did a good job finding these, 1.5 million, so
Found that.
go ahead and try to find the next 3.
So there was some positive. I mean, I think the point here is there was a lot of back and forth on it. Should we have built these things a year ago, 2 years ago, right? Well, looking back on it, it was a pretty decent decision to hold on. Maybe we got lucky. Better be lucky than good.
Right.
Make a motion to send it on to council.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Holtmeyer, second by Bear. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Just for clarification, is that for both?
Yeah,
8
No.
and B?
it was.
Okay.
I'm married.
No, you can't do both.
You gotta do one at a time?
I'll make a
have to do
motion
one
on the
at a
other.
And I'll second that one, too.
Okay, motion on B by Patke, also second by Bear.
Thank you.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both of them. Send them on, Sherry.
Code amendment, street excavation permit.
Okay, I think we discussed this a little bit at the last meeting as well. So give you a little history here, street excavation permits. Anytime that a contractor, a utility company, or, well, not necessarily a utility company, but anytime a contractor would dig in a city street, tear up the hard surface of that street, they're required to get a street excavation permit from the engineering department. Essentially what it was a bond, there was a permit fee attached to that. With the interest in our community from Gateway Fiber specifically to bring fiber to the home, they brought up that they were going to be essentially boring a pretty large section of our city streets parallel. When you do that, we really don't have a permit process to drop a bore rig in green space and bore parallel down the roadway. It doesn't tear up hard surface, right? So there's really no permit that we have. They are a public service commission utility. They have the rights to be there without our permission. So what we realized was, wait a second, we don't really have an inspection procedure. We don't have a permit procedure. We don't really have any procedure. The concern that came out of my office, well, really even with Kevin, was number one, how are we going to keep up with utility locates? I still don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but we're going to give it the college try. So, and we've been working with Gateway Fiber on that, how we're going to do that. But the other one is how do we ensure that the yards behind the curbs are put back in place? How do we ensure that they are crossing utilities at potholes? How do we do these things? So what we kind of developed using Lake St. Louis and O'Fallon's kind of framework and made it more Washington was what's called a right-of-way permit. Basically what it did was it took the street excavation permit foundation and then it added some additional criteria to it to work in the right-of-way. So with that, in your cover letter, I gave you a lot of information, but basically any boring contractor, any operator can have 10 open permits, each with a max distance of 2,000 lineal feet per permit. It's a lot, right? Again, I still don't know how we're going to keep up the utility locates, but I don't know if I have a solution right now. I think we're going to be able to get about 600 foot a day is the best we have, maxed out with our people. So long story short, Gateway has indicated that they're going to try to get about 14 to 19,000 feet done in the next 3 to 4 weeks. 8 to 10 bore rigs in town, moving in maybe this week. So it's going to be a pretty big endeavor here for them. They've done this before. They have the right to be there. And they've indicated they definitely are going to be working with us. I think there's 2 subcontractors or 2 of their project teams. One's it's an outfit called Utilisource. That's their engineering side, doing all their permitting. And then Sellenrec Construction, I think, is the boring contractor that's with them. There is a representative from Sellenrec here. I've asked them to be here. I'd asked them to come to every operations meeting until this thing is completed, just so you have somebody with them to kind of explain the situation. I have some, I think, some heated concerns regarding utilities. You know, when you're boring parallel down a roadway, typically our utilities run parallel down a roadway, whether it be in the center or off to the side. I'm not so concerned necessarily with ours because we're really good at locating ours, but I am concerned with private water lines, private sewer lines. They're deeper, hopefully. And
I'm
then
just going to
also-
ask that. Do we locate those?
We don't.
We don't. So obviously these boring projects going perpendicular to those homeowner laterals,
And the increased risk.
for sure.
And then gas company as well. Spire, you know, we've had issues with Spire being able to keep up with our own utility locates. So again, I think the cog, I guess, in the schedule might be there, but we just need to be aware of this. They've identified they're going to start in the Crestview Water Tower area, kind of Madison, and kind of spiral their way out of that, kind of work their way up towards essentially 5th Street, and then work their way east, and then kind of, you know, go east and then down to the south and then around. That's the general concept of where they're going to be working and bringing these services to your citizens. But I don't want to be an alarmist per se, but this is going to be a somewhat of a interesting, I guess, project in these yards and things that they're going to work really close with the city, and we're going to do what we can to keep the disruptions at a minimum.
Well, it is alarming, but, you
I don't
know,
want to say alarming. I'm just,
well, I know, but I know first, I mean, Sellenrink has done a lot of jobs, more jobs than we can fathom that they've done this at. So you have to have a little bit of faith that they're going to know what they're doing.
Correct.
There's no doubt about that. So I don't think it's a fear here that we're looking at.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bad thing. It's just a matter of something different that we're not used to here. That's all.
When Laclede came to town, fire, I mean, they shot most of them, you know what I mean? And a lot of the mains got shot, and now and it ran parallel with the streets, and they shot a lot of that. I mean, we didn't have any problem. I mean, not that I'm aware of. I mean, and now there's one more utility in the ground, but, you know, I don't know, and listening to them talk, we might learn more here, but, you know, as far as hitting water, yeah, we should be deep. They shouldn't, I don't think they're wanting to go that deep. You know what I'm thinking? I mean.
yeah, I mean, I'll give you some examples of a few things. I mean, we've had issues where, you know, we may have paved a street, for example.
Yeah.
In year one, and in year 1.5, they came through and put bore pits in the new paved street. And I've had to answer that. I can't solve that, right? It's something I just cannot do. We've had issues recently where Ameren actually bored out in Mike Allen and hit a water line. That water line was 4 feet off, so it was, I mean, I think a mislocate might be strong, but it was an issue, right? And it actually lifted the pavement up. Wow. When you have a situation as catastrophic as that, I literally have to dig all that up and recompact and work from the bottom up. Luckily, we have a project coming right next year, but those citizens have had to deal with that now going on 4 months, and they'll have to deal with that through wintertime so I can get this taken care of next spring. So it's alarming is not the word, but I think we need to be cognizant that things are going to happen with subsurface construction, and just be aware that we're working pretty cohesively with them to minimize the problems.
What you've seen so far is, with Spire's got in the ground, or with Clede's got in the ground already, and you look at their as-built drawings and stuff like that, are they considerably, are they close? And when these guys put in their stuff, you know, how, you know, are we gonna have another set of drawings to look at that, to where we know what their as-built drawings are? Yes.
Short answer is yes. Part of we have a lease agreement also. Part of that is that the potholes and things that they have to do, they're going to be required to give us that information. So when it's all said and done, we'll actually know where some of these laterals and things are. But to answer your other question is, are their maps close? Well, I'll give you an example. I mean, we had to evacuate the mayor's house due to a mislocate on a Spire situation. That was well planned. It was a well-planned closure, and it was just located on the other side of the street. So my point is, out of any excavation probably that we did in 2022, that one was the most well-planned one, and that still happened. Okay? So my point is it's not going to be perfect.
No.
And we need to be very, very aware of that, especially when we talk to our citizens, that somebody may not want fiber, but fiber's coming beside their house. And their yard's going to be tore up for a while. It's going to be tore up in the wintertime, so it's not going to be growing grass until next spring. We just need to be cognizant of those things. This right-of-way application, though, at least gives the city something that if they don't do what they say they're going to, I'm not even saying Gateway. That's probably, I'm not picking on Gateway. They're the reason why we're talking about it, right? But I mean, this goes to all utility companies moving forward, which I have other concerns that administratively, I don't know how I'm going to handle it either. I'm going to have to handle all these permits, which is our problem. But so just kind of be patient and kind of see how it shakes out.
It is what it is.
But they're coming, they're excited to be here, and it sounds like their citizens will have opportunity for high-speed fiber internet to their home very soon.
Other questions? How about a motion, please, to send this on?
So moved.
By Patke, second by Holtmeyer. Further? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Street vacation, Washington School District.
Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. South Point School, when it was, I guess, constructed many decades ago, they constructed it over top of an old city right-of-way. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. When they demolished South Point School and Vernon Jones moved in to build their new softball baseball facility, we wanted to get it cleaned up. So basically what it does is it vacates part of, I think it's Schaefer Lane there? Stenger, sorry. Vacates a part of that, and so they have a clean piece of property. Moving on, it's just a straightforward.
John, how much are we keeping for the trail?
Enough. I don't know the exact number on that, but, oh, you know what, I'm out here.
I didn't see it on the drawing, that's why I asked.
It's 40 foot, I don't know
Right.
the exact, but everything that the trail is on will be on our right-of-way. So it basically, if you've been on the trail, there's a radius, there's a turn there.
Yeah.
I would say if you go approximately 10 feet to the west, that's about the property line.
Okay.
I can spray paint it if you need to see it, but I don't know that exact measurement.
And John, just for clarification, the Stenger Drive all the way along, which is going to be the landscaped wall now, the old South Point School Drive is not there either. This is going to stop
Correct,
back at the parking lot.
correct,
So when people used to drive around South Point School and get
They won't
back
be able
out,
to do that.
that's not even anywhere,
correct. And
it's
one,
not just going to dead end there. It's not even going to exist past the parking lot.
yeah, it's not even going to exist. Really, yeah, I mean, the sign needs to come down, and it just needs not to be a thing anymore. Another thing.
One in, one out?
It's going to be in parking lot only on the west side of the old school. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's,
West side of the old school, correct.
so it's going to be a parking lot there, no drive-through.
You are not going to be able,
Fifth at all.
It won't go to Fifth Street at all.
correct.
Gotcha.
You will not be able to go through Staringer, is that it?
Carriger, whatever.
Staringer Drive and go over like you used to be able to. That'll be the trail. Now, there was, may look at, right now, I think it's asphalt right there, where we just tie it into the old Staringer Drive. I am looking at actually putting that in concrete for the trail and then dedicating that in the future with our own forces. It's pretty
You know,
simple.
with all that work being done down there, and everything to the east of that is ours, in the flood, you know, where the berm's at and all that, you know, I mean, it's ours, right?
I think,
We
I'd-
put
West.
all that out
It's to the west, isn't it?
years ago.
That'd be the west.
yeah, that'd be the west.
Yeah.
You said east, I just,
I'm
that's why I was
sorry,
making
right.
sure, yeah.
You know, there's room there for another soccer field, I would think, if, you know, down the road or whatever, if we do it now or whatever, there's still, will it flood? Yeah, at some point in time, but
That's-
it ain't gonna hurt anything.
No.
Are you talking the old rugby practice field?
Man, I don't know
Yeah,
what was
that's-
there.
Okay.
Yes, you're in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right off of International and Ninth.
Well,
probably.
even before that,
Yeah.
closer to South Point School going
Yeah,
west,
yeah.
right there, between the creek and the berm.
Yeah, I think with the excitement of Bush Creek Greenway and the potential for a future connection in between there, wherever that looks like, where it goes back on street, you're gonna probably make that a concrete walkway inside or outside that berm, outside that levee, and narrow up that roadway or even shift it to the north. That's probably what you would do. So, you know, to utilize that. So just be thinking about that a little bit.
Another field.
The curb would just shift over, but that's a future project.
Okay,
Okay. Motion to send it on, please.
so moved.
Patke?
Second.
Second by Bear. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Send to council.
Do you want to have any other department heads come in, or do you want to go into executive session since we have time?
We could do executive session unless there's any department heads that have anything.
If Mary has those worksheets, could we just have that now?
Yeah. Do you have those available, Mary? Okay,
Perfect.
that's fine.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do an executive. Well, Dave chose this. So we gotta go over this?
I can pass those out, Mary. Why don't you go?
Oops, I'll get one.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Let it be known, Darren's list, simple, Mary's list. Oh, nothing. You gotta get an accounting degree to read Mary's list. You gotta get an accounting degree to read her list, at least Darren's I can
What
understand.
else you need? One of those? Oh, okay, you get one of those first.
Mary's not in the school district, and this is us.
Okay, I'll take care of that. Just go ahead and go on over.
Okay.
Thank you.
More homework.
Reading material.
Okay, so basically, has everybody got a copy of it? This main one?
Yeah.
I know, you gotta put your readers on.
They're on.
Okay, so this first page, if you look at the upper part, that's the summary page. And then all the projects that we've completed so far are listed below that. And so that totals $9,287,729. I should have had it up on PowerPoint. Like I said, I can go over this at the next meeting.
Yeah, we don't have to go through the whole thing tonight, it's
Yeah.
an opportunity to hand
So,
out.
but that's what it does. It lists all the projects what we've accomplished. And then up on the right-hand side, it basically also lists the future projects and where we're at on that.
Cool. All right, okay.
Okay? And then, like I said, we can kind of go over it, but it kind of gives you guys the information ahead of time.
Yeah, Mary, if we can maybe talk about it next meeting, that would be awesome.
Yeah. And like I said,
All
this
right,
is
Jeff?
only through
If she has a pin
2022.
PowerPoint, that'd be easier to go over anyway.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
I make a motion to go into executive session.
okay?
Is there what?
Is there time to do this?
There probably is.
Yeah, we do. We got time.
Got a motion by Hydrich, you guys, to go into Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome again.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, October 3rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Bear,
Here.
Briggs,
Here.
Coulter,
Here.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke,
Here.
Reed,
You bet.
Wessels. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meeting dated September 19th, 2022? Bear,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Patke,
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
Need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Bear. All those,
Hydrich.
I'm sorry, Hydrich. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes is approved.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have the liquor license approval for Cherry Blossom, Washington.
Make a motion.
Okay, motion by Holtmeyer.
Second.
Second by a lot of people.
No.
I heard Coulter first. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion for the adjustment is approved.
Priority items, certificate of appreciation for Missouri Health and Wellness.
You guys come on up.
Yes, please. Hi, guys. Okay, let me get this thing straight here, and then I'll read it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, certificate appreciation, whereas Missouri Health and Wellness has generously donated $5,000 to the Washington City Cemetery, and whereas the donation has been used for paving of the roadway, now therefore I, James D. Hagedorn, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, and on behalf of our governing body and all our citizens, do hereby tender this certificate of appreciation to extend a heartfelt thank you and express warm appreciation to the Missouri Health and Wellness for their generation donation to the Washington City Cemetery. Thank you, guys. Okay, next one.
No, I've got one more
Do you?
before that. Mhm.
Okay, can I sit down, or do you want me to stay here?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Just gonna make you go back and forth.
Right.
She's bossy.
Just while he's coming back up here, just as, so everybody knows, the city has tried to make some improvements to the Washington City Cemetery. As most of you know, we put the sign up, or the monument sign up I guess about a year or so ago. But one of the things that we included within the budget was to go ahead and get the roadway that serves the cemetery for visitors to go ahead and get that paved. So that's what we used their generous donation for, to help us with that. So, thank you.
Washington Fire Department officers.
Good evening, Council. In your packet this evening, there are two letters. One with the officers from the Washington Volunteer Fire Company for ratification. Myself as Chief, Assistant Chief Mark Scornia, Deputy Chief Buzz Eckelkamp, and Deputy Chief Mike Holtmeyer. The second letter outlines the assets of the fire department. It's an ordinance requirement. So those assets that are part of what we operate are presented there for you. Here for any questions.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Hydrich. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. Thank you, Tim.
Mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Proclamation, Washington American Legion Post 218 Junior Legion Baseball Team.
Remind me to say the young man's name.
Careful with the bat, Todd. I'll sign that for you if you want me to.
Well, how cool is this? Golly. First of all, congratulations, you guys. This is official stuff here. Mayor's Proclamation, City of Washington, Missouri. Washington American Legion Post 218 Junior Legion Baseball Team, state champs. Whereas today we recognize the Washington American Legion Post 218 Junior Legion Baseball Team for their remarkable 2022 season and commend the coaching staff and players on their notable accomplishments. And whereas the Washington Post 218 Junior Legion Baseball Team compiled a 30-6 record for the 2022 baseball season. And whereas the Washington 218 Junior Legion Baseball Team finished their season as Zone 1 champs and 9th District regular season champions, the team defeated Ellsbury Post 226 Red 6-0 in the Junior Legion Tournament State Championship game. This is the program's 12th overall state title and the 4th Junior Legion level title. And whereas these young men not only brought home a state championship for their community, but they also served as ambassadors as they played throughout their season. And whereas a special commendation is due to team members and coaches. Team members, Jake Dunnard, Drew Eckhoff, Noah Hendrickson, Will Hare, Ethan Holland, Cohen Jasper, Reagan Conabender, Cabrian Kelling, Tyler Cromer, Justin Mort, Caden Patke, Lane Rotering, Sam Struberg, Grant Tretman, Ryan Williams, and Noah Wilson. Coaches, Todd Claycamp, Quentin Pepsel, Danny Taylor, and Eric Volkerding. Now, therefore, I, James D. Hagedorn, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Washington, and on behalf of the entire city council, hereby congratulate you on your state championship and extend this expression of our pride in your accomplishment and our appreciation for the fine publicity you have brought to our community by your good sportsmanship and inspired team play. Thank you, guys.
Yeah! Way to go, boys.
Thank you, Mayor. As you guys know, I got to watch you all season long, so it's a privilege to be here and ask the mayor to do the proclamation tonight. So we have a copy for each one of you. So thank you guys for being here. Thanks for making a fun season to watch. So, Trent, you want to speak with us now?
I do.
Please.
If the council has a
You got it.
Thank you, Councilman Patke. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name's Trent Hendrickson. My wife Angela and I are proud parents of one of these young men and fans of every one of them. And I just wanted to take, can I have 3 minutes of your clock?
Go for it.
Councilman Patke? Yeah, it's coming off your time? Oh, yeah. I did feel that tonight, on the heels of this proclamation, would be a great time to inform you that Washington Post 218 Baseball is in the midst of putting its bid together to host a regional tournament in 2024 and 2025, representing the Mid-South Regional Tournament. Each year, 8 cities across the United States host their respective regions tournament, and this is a direct feed into the American Legion World Series. Each of those regional champions heading on to the World Series in Shelby, North Carolina, and in terms of these gentlemen, that is the mountaintop. So
We want to put our best foot forward, give these young men an opportunity as best we can. In my opinion, the program here at in Post 218 is second to none in the state. 12 state championships. That's awesome. In recent years, the coaches, players, and families have had the opportunity to travel with regionals, Louisiana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, as well as many regular season state invitationals. And the program, its following, its families, its camaraderie, its values are really a testament, not only to you all, but to the community and all those behind us. As to the timing of our bid, we feel that with the recent upgrades to Ronsick Field and also the recent successes of our teams, the time to step forward with that bid is now. We as a community have so much to be proud of, displaying to our outside visitors as well as team members, coaches, and the visiting families. There just simply aren't many programs that compare to what we have here in Washington. While the council won't have direct involvement with that bid process, we do feel it's an important enough event in our community that you should be aware of it. Our Mid-South Regional hosts the state champions from Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma. So it's a wonderful opportunity for our community to showcase itself. Those 8 teams converge on that host city for 5 days, and we'll have the opportunity to put our best foot forward, share Rotary Sports Complex with hundreds of folks, and we'll get to see 136 American Legion baseball players going head-to-head for an opportunity at a national title. The local economic impact of such a tournament annually is anywhere from 150 to 300,000, with some tournaments far in excess of that. But beyond the economic impact, I think the most important piece and what so many of us have gathered together and gotten behind this cause is an opportunity for these gentlemen to be a part of that in their own community and a chance at winning a title in front of their families, their friends, their hometown fans. So as we navigate the bid process, we'll be working directly with the Parks Department, the Chamber. Our program impacts 51 families every season, soon to be 68 families with the recent expansion to 4 teams. So we have the support of our own post here in Washington, as well as District 9, our Zone 1 chairman, our state chairman, and our national chairman resides 4 hours from here in Independence, Missouri. So I've had the opportunity to meet most every one of those gentlemen in the stands at Ronsick over the years. So there's a lot of support behind us. So again, I'm excited to be up here today and to share some of this with these guys, not only as a parent but a fan. And we'll keep you advised. This coming winter, we've got about 120 days to put that application together, and we'll hear about that next spring. And I thank you for your time. Thanks, Trent. Thanks.
Do it again next year. Right, Todd?
Jeff will have updated ones. There was that error.
Megan's last name's not on the list, so Sherry will have an updated one, Jen. She won't live with that, so. Sorry? Oh, yeah, I would like to say that Bob Clevel's here from American Legion, so we thank the American Legion for everything they do. Bob, let's. You get the pictures? If you want another picture, now's the time. They're gonna sit down here in a second. So if you want a picture, take it now. Okay, Mom, time's up.
Good job, guys. Thanks, guys.
Another good reason to live in Washington, you guys. Golly. And Legion team, next year, if you guys ask me back to throw out the first pitch, I've promised to get my arm in shape so I don't bounce the ball.
Police Department appointment.
Evening, Council. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Ian Ray. Ian has gone through a comprehensive hiring process and has done well. So with confidence, I recommend him for appointment for police officer.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Hydrich. Any questions or discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome to the force.
Welcome, sir.
aboard. Chief, you're not going to make him give a speech or
I won't do
anything?
that to him.
How about push-ups?
Police Department reappointment.
Council, in your package, you have a letter. It's reappointment, another 6-month term for Calvin Brose. Cal has done an excellent job for us. He's an experienced officer, and it shows, so I recommend him also for his 6-month appointment.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Hydrich, second by Patke.
That was Holtmeyer.
Holtmeyer, sorry, you guys. My hearing is bad tonight. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Citizens' comments.
Any citizens would like to comment? Now's your chance. Okay.
Ordinances and resolution. An ordinance consenting to the assignment of a development agreement by and between Robert E. Helsher and Jeannie L. Helsher, trustees under the Robert E. Helsher and Jeannie L. Helsher Joint Revocable Trust Agreement, dated December 8, 2014, in the city of Washington, Missouri.
Patke.
Brought by Patke.
Mark brought this to our attention, that this just basically, we had an agreement with Helshers with regards for the road to go ahead, Rabbit Trail Drive to be extended all the way to Beaker Road. This is just takes care of and
Right.
moves it on to the next entity.
They've sold that property to Mr. Horstkamp, who is in the audience, and this just assigns the agreement from them to him, so the agreement will now be between the city and him.
I would also add real quick, we are currently out to bid for that project. It's got a phase 1 and the phase 2. Bids are due on Friday of this week. Phase 1 would construct the culvert pipe underneath Rabbit Trail. Phase 2 would extend it to Beaker Road by June of 2023. So just FYI.
Questions, discussion?
An ordinance consenting to the assignment of a development agreement by and between Robert E. Helsher and Jeannie L. Helsher, trustees under the Robert E. Helsher and Jeannie L. Helsher Joint Revocable Trust Agreement, dated December 8, 2014, in the city of Washington, Missouri. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Aye.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Aye.
Reed.
Yep.
By your vote, the ordinance passes. 7B, please.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an aviation project consultant supplemental agreement number 1, construction services by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley, Inc.
Holtmeyer.
Brought by Holtmeyer.
As discussed at the last meeting, this is the design supplemental plus the construction inspection services over at the airport. It does include all the testing, concrete testing, those type of things. They will have a individual on site reviewing the project at all hours, basically, that it's going on. There is an additional layer of safety, obviously, you're working next to a operational airport. So pretty standard contract. We are ready to move forward with it. Thank you.
Questions? No discussion.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of an aviation project consultant Supplemental Agreement Number 1, Construction Services by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly, Inc. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Patke?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Motion, ordinance 7B passes. It's the mayor, or memo, right here.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and KJU Inc., doing business as KJ Understall Construction Company.
Heidrich.
Brought by Heidrich.
Okay, as discussed at the last meeting, this project is a construction contract to construct 8 hangars at Washington Regional Airport. Total cost $1,772,970. It's got a completion after the notice to proceed of 220 calendar days. It's got a pretty big lead time on the hangars themselves. Also, as indicated at the last meeting, with us somewhat delaying the out to bid, of that 1.7 million, 562,000 of that comes from FAA airport entitlement funding. We do get that funding essentially once a year. It's about 150,000 to 170,000 a year. 562 we've saved up. The State Aviation Trust Fund, which is $553,000. That's essentially what was earmarked to us from the closure of the St. Clair Airport. And then Build Grant, Infrastructure Grant has another $512,000 added to it. Again, that was from the federal administration's infrastructure package. So with all those dollar numbers put together, the remaining balance is about $144,000 coming out of your capital improvement sales tax. Long story short, you're getting about $1.7 million, $1.8 million of hangars built for about $144,000 in construction costs, or 8.1%. That is a very good deal for us.
Any questions?
I think phenomenal was the word at the last meeting.
Phenomenal?
Yeah,
Good.
good job.
I could spell it. If it starts with a P.
But not surprising. Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and KJU Inc., doing business as KJ Understall Construction Company. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Patke?
Aye.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Reed?
Yep.
Ordinance 7C passes. D, please.
An ordinance amending sections 505.650, 505.660, 505.670, 505.680, 505.690, and adding thereto a new section 505.665 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Omar.
Brought by Holtmeyer.
Okay, again, as discussed at the last operations meeting and the city council meeting before, this came about due to the fiber to the home installer, that's Gateway Fiber specifically, indicated to us that they'd like to utilize the city's right-of-ways, public utility easements, to bring internet to individuals' homes. What we realized is that we didn't really have a permit process to do so. Currently today, our permit process only requires you to get an excavation permit if you actually damaged or excavated a hard surface such as asphalt or concrete. Working in the green space would not require that. So we had to come up with something that utilized the framework set forth by Lake St. Louis and O'Fallon. Basically, it puts a limit of 10 open permits to any contractor, maximum boring distance at 2,000 linear feet. It doesn't really change anything for like your plumbers, your standard local contractors, those things. Some of the fees were kind of changed, but nothing changes too much, made things a little easier actually. But essentially, Gateway Fibers indicated they're going to have ramp up to about 8 to 10 bore rigs, try to bore out the entire city for fiber to the home in the next year or so. So just be aware of that there will be a lot of construction happening in town over the next year. Concerns the city has, concerns that I have, utility locating, just being able to keep up with that type of production, and then also the risk to hit subsurface utilities are obviously increased when you're working subsurfacely. So just be aware of those things. We're trying to manage that. We have weekly pre-construction meetings. We'll have an individual here at every admin operations meeting. They're giving me also, I just remembered this, a hotline number that we're going to maybe put on our website. So if there's any calls or complaints, we can just forward them right to their hotline number. So, but just FYI, it's going to be a lot of construction going on in the next year or so.
Any further questions, you guys, about this for John? Okay.
An ordinance amending sections 505.650, 505.660, 505.670, 505.680, 505.690, and adding thereto a new section 505.665 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Reed.
By your vote, 7D passes. 7E.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a release and settlement agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Zick, Voss, Polite, Richardson, and Brinker, P.C.
Hydrich.
Brought by Hydrich.
Mark, would you like to handle this one, or? Okay, I could take it. All right, so this is, it's an agreement between the city and those individuals down at the
438.
438, yeah, West Front. Essentially what it did was it releases any issue, or I guess any claims against any issues with sanitary sewer backups at that location. There were 2 backflow preventers that were installed at a very minimal costs, and they've been in operation, I think, now for 6 to 7 months with no backups at that location. So far, the concept that we put forth is working as intended.
Have we had a significant rain since then or not?
Oh, we have. I mean, I can't, I don't know. We maybe have had, I mean, it was a dry summer, right? But I mean, I would think that we would have had 2 or 3 that would have triggered something like that in the past. And again,
Based on the history of what we had seen.
correct. But I want to caution everyone. I mean, it's gravity sewer, right? Just because there's an issue doesn't mean there won't ever be an issue in the future. There's a lot of things that go into how gravity sewers operate and those type of things. But this does put essentially a backflow preventer at the source of the backup in the home, which is something a little bit different than what's been done in the past.
And I would add too, we didn't pay for any damages to anything in any of the contents inside of
There
the
you go.
structure. All we paid for was the backflow preventers.
And in reading this, we didn't admit to anything that we did wrong either. This is just
That's correct.
We paid for the backflow.
Trying to resolve it. and
Correct.
deal with it.
And I would also add too, as a macro solution to the city's system, we are aggressively again going after infiltration and inflow via sanitary sewer slip lining of manholes and those type of things. And we're putting a significant investment in that. We've done it for 3 years running now. We have about 6 more years to go. But knock on wood, we could have every sewer line slip lined, in the next 6 years is the goal. And you are investing in that out of your sanitary sewer fund, capital improvement sales tax, and the stormwater fund.
Okay.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a release and settlement agreement by and between the City of Washington, Missouri and Zick, Voss, Polite, Richardson, and Brinker, P.C. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Reed.
Yeah.
Okay, 7E passes.
An ordinance vacating and discontinuing a portion of a public street.
Brought by Holtmeyer.
Okay, as also discussed the last meeting, when South Point School was constructed many decades ago, they constructed the school over an old right-of-way called Staringer Avenue. When it was actually torn down and they moved forward with the new baseball, softball fields that Washington School District is constructing, I wanted to make sure that the property got cleaned up and that right-of-way was essentially vacated. So it vacates a portion of that right-of-way. There is a survey included, obviously, in the ordinance. It does retain a portion 40-foot wide that does have the new Bush Creek Greenway on there. We are targeting to do some additional maybe improvements right at that intersection with Bush Creek Greenway, maybe narrow it up a little bit, because right now it is the width of a city street, and we are some concern about that being a dead end. So those are some things that we're going to be doing. It just it wasn't part of the initial or the original Bush Creek Greenway project because it was a roadway at one time. And the way the schedules worked out, we just didn't get it in the job. So we'll be doing those improvements probably with city staff at a later date.
Okay. No discussion? Okay. Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance vacating and discontinuing a portion of a public street. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Ordinance 7F passes.
Commission, committee, and board reports. An ordinance approving the final plat of the Meadow at Koch Farm in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Patke.
Brought by Patke.
All right. For your approval tonight is a final plat for the Meadows at Koch Farms. This is kind of the next development just south of the overlook here. As you can see, where we just had the amendment to the development agreement off Rabbit Trail. Just to the west of there, you can see these parcels here that we annexed last year. And then this was the preliminary plat that came to you a few months ago. The reason of the delay is the developer has actually been putting in some of the improvements rather than just doing an escrow for all of them. But here again is the 36 lots that are proposed. And then here, so you can just see the kind of the two phases with our development agreement. Here is what we have now assigned over to the new owner, which is the developer to the west, for us to build Rabbit Trail. This is what you're final platting tonight, surrounded in blue. And then in the future, this is going to P&Z next week, and then it'll go to you the following week. So that's kind of the overall plan. But again, tonight is just this portion to the west.
I would also add, when you look at that, the blue line closest to the yellow, that's Rabbit Trail. Part of our improvement is we'll be adding a sidewalk on that side as well. Now, that sidewalk will only extend to the dead end of Rabbit Trail right now. At a future project, we'll connect that to the new east-west connection over to Vernacey Drive, or North Crest Drive. So it's kind of a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. In addition, what you see there on your lot layouts is those driveways will not back out or tie into Rabbit Trail. That's really important when we're participating in these roadways, that you don't have these driveways backing out like you have on Rabbit Trail further to the north. It just creates safety hazards, those type of things. So working with the developers, us putting some money towards that, we were able to get that done, access control that we don't really have in code right now. But that's just important as you look at that layout.
John, there's concrete on the metal at Koch Farm. Is that correct?
Fact, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, I'm not sure if it's all the way completed yet. I'd have to check with my inspectors on that, but,
Okay.
or our inspectors. But yes, it's 90%.
Are you talking about Koch Road that's
Yeah.
shown on here? I
Yep.
think that's in.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of work to do is what I'm saying, but the vast majority is completed.
Cool. Any further questions or comments? Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance approving the final plat of the Meadow at Koch Farm in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Okay, by your vote, ordinance 8A passed.
Mayor's report.
If I could put my cheerleader hat on for a few moments, you guys, and take maybe 2 minutes. This was my first American in Bloom experience, and quite frankly, I was humbled. Several different things. Humbled by the other cities who went to the conference first day down at St. Louis, right by the arch of the hotel there. And just their volunteerism, the way that they embraced community beautification. And they stressed one thing, that, for lack of a better term, planting flowers is connected to our economic development. And, you know, I got to thinking about that, and it makes perfect sense. If people want to live here and are proud of where they live, they're going to take care of their place. For instance, our downtown, there aren't many vacant buildings downtown at all because it looks so nice. People want to go there. when businesses want to go somewhere, and we're recruiting one right now, you guys, and I know they've had visitors with us that are checking us out, and they look at us and they see things like Ronzig Field and how packed it is watching our kids play, how good our downtown looks, how wonderful our Front Street is. And those are all factors in a company choosing to come here and, quite frankly, to stay here. And so I hope everyone realizes that making us look our best and our sharpest really helps us financially, too. So I ask everybody to please continue to mow your grass, plant flowers in your yard, and volunteer. You know, we are such a community of volunteers, and we need to continue that and promote that, and believe me, I will as a mayor going forward. So, and thank you guys for allowing me to get on the bully pulpit.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll just speak for myself. I enjoyed the day. I was glad I was able to take the afternoon off and help a little bit. See the people who, you see the look in their eyes with the astonishment of what we have here. You know, the little bit that you see, try to ask where they're from across the nation. It was amazing. Whether it was New Mexico, state of Washington, Oregon, Michigan, those people were just appalled at what we had. I mean, they were just excited about what we have, and they want to be a part of it. It was pretty neat. There's no doubt about it. The participation, the work of the Parks Department, all that kind of stuff. I know we put a lot of other things on the back burner for the last few weeks or months, no doubt. But no, a great program, great opportunity for the city. So thanks for everybody for, you know, around the nation for coming, and the city for putting on such a great symposium, no doubt. So,
Well said. Thanks, Jeff. Anybody else? Okay.
I don't want to talk again, but I just want to say again, thank you for allowing the Legion boys to come here tonight. I know one of those is my kid, and it's pretty cool, and I appreciate being part of it. The whole Ronzig Field thing, Trent said it. We talked this weekend about it. I just want to reiterate again, we have one of the best, if not the best facility in the state of Missouri because of what you guys that sit here. I know I got to take this hat off and be a Legion member. I get that, but for what the Parks Department has done, we work together, the Rotary, the Parks, the city, and half-cent capital improvement sales tax that went to the field. All that contributes to one of the greatest complex in the state or region, and therefore that's why we've looked at doing the regional and trying to bring teams from around the region, around the Midwest to here. So that's when Trent spoke of that, we agreed tonight was a good opportunity to know that what we have here at Ronzig in the park system is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. We're going to make it even better, trying to promote it to the rest of the nation. So again, that's
anything we can do as a city to help that.
Well, we're already in talks with the chamber. I did today, and you know we have to coincide and work out logistics and that kind of thing. But you know, and again, we just got to work out the logistics and then hope we get picked. You know, so it's not even for sure yet, but it's one of those deals where we'd love to make it work. So thank you.
Thank you.
City Administrator's report.
No report.
Council comments.
I just commented, so I'm done.
None? Okay, I just need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Third, fifth.
Okay.
Idiot.
Motion by Patke, second by Hydrich. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. We're done.
Be good.
John.